Good morning. When I started this YouTube channel, it was January, and the weather was so cold that I couldn't even imagine getting outside for a while. But now it's almost March, and I'm gonna go take a walk through my yard and give you a little bit of tour about what I'm thinking about doing this coming season. There are several changes that I want to make. I wanted to share those with you, and perhaps you can give me some ideas too. So let me show you what I've got out here. It's a little bright. It's in the 40s today, so not bad at all. Okay, so here we are in the yard. Now behind me, you can see some trellises that I built. And I use this style of trellis a lot, where what I do is I drive into the ground PVC pipe, and then I stand up posts in it, and between the posts I will run a kind of a plastic coated chain link. That I got this fence a long time ago and I've used it for so many things. I actually took it down from where it had been installed in a yard where I used to manage the property there, and rolled it up, kept it in my garage for a few years, and then started taking it out and using it. I use it all the time. Anyway, it's very handy. What I can do with it is I can actually divide it into sections just by unwinding one piece of the wire, and then I have smaller sections. And so that's probably what I'll do this year. I'll be taking these, and let me show you. Don't know how well you can see this, but you can see the bases of them where they go into the PVC pipe. Probably move that PVC out, and then I'll be doing these diagonally back in sections rather than as one long strip across this side of my yard. So I'm thinking that one of the things that I had a little trouble with last year was the fact that these trellises were on the far side of the garden, so I had to walk through it every time I wanted to harvest beans and eventually squash too. So I made little kind of causeways out of wood that I put across, but it's not really convenient, so I'll probably make these come out diagonally, so at least a portion of it I can harvest without walking through the garden. So that's an improvement that I'm looking forward to this coming year. I'll probably still plant beans on that, and we'll see. I might need to rotate the squash, but who knows, I might plant squash on those as well. So that's a sort of a smaller project that I'm going to be doing here. Back here you can see one of my fig trees, and we'll see how much of that above ground survives. It was a really cold winter, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was a significant amount of dieback, but it'll come back just fine either way. So one of the big changes that I expect to make this year is to finally address this fence. So this fence is not very strong. It needs to come down probably at some point in the next year or two, and I'm thinking it might be this coming year. When I do that, I'm thinking what I'll probably do is bring the new structure, which will be more of a trellis than a fence, well, kind of a combination trellis fence, bring the new structure in maybe about 4 feet. And then, let me show you, we'll go through here, show you what's up on this side of the fence. So over here, you've got a driveway. And so what I'd like to do over here is when I push this fence back, I'm going to put in probably a low raised bed, and then build what I've been talking about in several of these videos, build kind of the forest edge effect here. So starting with a ground covers, and then building up from those ground covers to taller and taller plants until we get a line of trees at the back. And those trees will all be pruned flat. So this whole thing, which will be a whole lot of different vegetables and fruits, will take up about 4 feet in terms of depth. The height at its maximum will be somewhere between 6 and 7 feet, and I'll keep it at that height. But in between that, I'm going to have a sort of a forest tiered effect, like the southern edge of the forest, because this fence right now gets a whole lot of sun. And so I've grown things against it in the past, but I've had to grow them in, as you can see, in containers here, which isn't ideal, but they have to sit on concrete, which is the driveway, and that's why I'm pushing it back. I want to be able to build some raised beds above actual earth and add some layers of nutrient to those, starting probably with some wood. We'll do this almost like a hugelkultur style, because I've got a bunch of old wood that I need to put someplace, and it's going to go underneath a couple of feet of soil. So anyway, that is the plan. So I need some thoughts about what to plant here. We've got full sun here most of the time, but well, we've got full sun in the middle of this fence. In the mornings, we get a little shade over here, and in the afternoons, we get a little shade over here. So my initial thoughts are that anywhere where there's some shade, I'll be planting something, probably transplanting actually some pawpaw trees that I've got, and I hope that I can successfully transplant them. Fortunately, they were originally planted above ground in really high embankment. So if I can get into that embankment, I can get quite a bit of the root structure out. So we'll see if I can successfully transplant those, but it's from a house where we don't live anymore, and I don't get over there often enough. And last year, all the pawpaws ended up going to waste because they got knocked down in a windstorm before I could get them. So I'd like them to be in a slightly more protected spot, and I would like to have better access to them so I can keep a better eye on them. So we'll have pawpaws probably not too far from the house here, and maybe another one on the far side over here. Then in between, I'm thinking about fruit trees that can be easily pruned and espaliered. Now I already have some apple and pear of Asian pear varieties growing here, so I'm not sure that that's what I'm going to go with, because there's only so many apples and pears that I need in my life. But I'm trying to think about what else to put in here. So I'm thinking about things like maybe if I can grow something that has nuts on it but isn't too large. Like maybe if I could control a hazel bush, but that might be a little bit tricky. They tend to spread, so that's not my first choice. So what else? What else should I put in this space? I'm looking forward to getting back into the yard now. It's starting to feel like spring today, so I wanted to bring you outside and just, give you a taste of it too. If you're in a colder region, maybe this will get you inspired. If you're in a warmer region, you're probably way ahead of me already. So anyway, look forward to hearing from you, and have a great day.